everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Carmina, and today we are continuing our series of 52 cards in 52 days, where we unlock the meanings of each and every one of the cards in the regular but not so regular playing card deck. And today, the card of the day is the Nine of Spades. And we'll be looking at the meaning of the Nine of Spades in the context of manual card readings, and we'll also be looking at the Nine of Spades as a birth card. Before that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you might want to do that because we have a lot of videos on cards of truth, astrology, human design, and other occult topics like these. Let's get to it. Nine of Spades. Isn't it interesting that the month of January is dominated by the spade suit? The spade suit does not occur so often in the year spread. So it's interesting that it's happening right now in the beginning of the year, because always in the beginning of the year, there's more hard work to do. People are setting their goals. They want to overcome their limitation at the King of Spades. Then at the Queen of Spades, they try to do something in a consistent manner. And at the Jack of Spades, they do whatever it takes to survive. And it's really interesting because yesterday we were talking about the Ten of Spades, the rewards we get of the spade suit. And today we have the Nine of Spades, which is the last of the pip cards in the spade suit. And today what is also happening is a new moon coinciding with a partial solar eclipse with the South Node in Capricorn. There's so much going on in Capricorn, in the sign of Capricorn. We have right now the Sun, Moon, Saturn, Mercury, South Node. So there's a lot of shame there in that sign. There's a lot of tension. And the sign of Capricorn is the rigid construct, the rigid social setting that we build for ourselves in order to be able to operate in the world. If we look anatomically, Capricorn represents the body part corresponding to the thigh area and the upper knee area. And this area, of course, includes the femur, which is the densest, the strongest bone in the body. It has the capacity to carry like a lot of times over its own weight. So Capricorn is, of course, it's a very rigid, a very strong sign. It's very resistant to change. It's there to fulfill its duties, its obligation. But right now with this partial solar eclipse, that's being challenged. So it's really interesting to, as a side note, to see in what sign from the ascendant Capricorn is for you. For instance, I'm a Scorpio ascendant, so for me Capricorn is in the third house, and the third house can also relate to media, to courage, to writing projects, to siblings, to neighbors. So you have to come to some conclusions. You have to analyze these relationships. And I'm not saying that by coincidence, because the Nine of Spades also relates to conclusions. All the nine relate to a sort of realization, conclusion, and of course because they correspond to the South Node, it's even more important to have this Nine of Spades day today on the day of the partial solar eclipse, where the South Node is kind of eating up the sun. Yes, so what is the Nine of Spades? What is the South Node connotation? So of course there's an ending. There is a finalization of something. Oftentimes the Nine of Spades is seen as a death card, or at least a difficult card. because it's the end of the spade suit, and the spade relates to the body, and it relates to the physical health, it relates to the mental health. So yeah, at the end of that, it can also show some difficulty for the person. Also, all the nines, because they are connected to the south node, have a liberating quality. They have a very spiritual connotation. And that's the way to go with the nine, because the nine are the friendship with the divine, while at the eight we have the friendship with the self. At the nine we really have the friendship with the divine, we have surrendering to the divine. And because it's the spade suit, it relates to your body, to surrendering to something regarding your own self, your own body, your own work. No wonder that the nine of spades is also called the karma yogi card, because you have to treat your life as if it were a duty. So the only way to make sense of this card is to just surrender to your duty. The nine of spades in tarot is connected to the Hermit card because it's a black nine. So it's a person in isolation, meditating, pondering on the way they are leading their life, pondering on their work, drawing conclusions. So I guess today is a very good chance for introspection for everyone, especially about yourself, because the spade suit is the self, and about your duties in the world because of the sign of Capricorn. And yeah, you should really look at these things with detachment, because Saturn is also there, and you should really think whether you want to continue with some obligations that you are doing towards, depends on what Capricorn is in your chart, of course, or you want to break away from those obligations, you want to bring a conclusion, draw a line. Yeah, so in the past following days, for me personally and for other people, I've noticed that they really ended things with other people. For instance, a person who has Capricorn in their seventh house of partnerships, but not only romantic partnerships, but also business partnership, has ended a business relationship with somebody just the other day. So around when the eclipse was around the corner. Yes, it's interesting. So now if we think again about this nine of spades in general, let's think also about the underlying and overlying card. Of course, the underlying card is the card that corresponds to the nine of spades position in the so-called jack spread. And that card is the King of Hearts. So the King of Hearts is at the origin of the energy of the nine of spades. So from a person who's sacrificing themselves, who's devoting themselves, because of course the hearts are a very devotional suit, to other people also comes this energy of being alone and isolated and focusing on yourself. And then if we look at the overlying card for the nine of spades, we see the six of spades. And that's I think it's one of the best cards. I mean, one of the most comfortable cards in the spade suit, so to say. So the six of spades is feeling mature with yourself, with your body, with your mind. So once you achieve this stage of loneliness and isolation at the nine of spades, the energy naturally aspires towards this maturation, this validation with your body at the six of spades. It's also interesting to note that as an element, the spades relate to the fire element. And the nine of spades could be like a purification purification of the body, because of course the south node Ketu is said to give the results of Mars, and Mars is the fire, the inner fire that burns, you know, disease from our body, that burns bacteria and viruses. So the south node Ketu, the 9, gives the results of Mars, the 3. And especially it's more emphasized in this spade suit. And I have to say that I hadn't connected this inner fire to the spade suit. I was just thinking of the fire element in general. But I read an essay by my colleague Nishi, who also practices Ayurveda, and he was comparing this spade energy, he was correlating it to the inner fire, to the Agni. So I think the 9 of Spades is the best, probably one of the best illustrations of this inner fire. Like, it's really focused on the self, wants to bring a conclusion to something after a battle that happened in the other cards. It's really interesting to contemplate this idea. Okay, now let's check out the birth spread, the cards of true spread for the 9 of Spades. Before that, let me just tell you that there are 3 9 of Spades days in the year: January 5th, February 3rd, and March 1st. Of course, that is happening after sunrise at your place of birth. If you're born before sunrise, then you may be a 10 of Spades or the other card that is happening in that day before. Okay, so the 9 of Spades. If we look at the 9 of Spades, we see that the ecliptic card is the 4 of Spades. So they are on the path of balance, of finding some balance, some security, some peace within themselves. Because at the earlier stage, at the 3, there was a battle, and at the 4 of Spades, there's a regrouping. There's a withdrawal in the self. There is a moment of peace with the self. It would be like, yes, it would be some stillness in the body, in the self. And then if we look further, we see that there are also other spades in the suit. We see the Jack of Spades in the Saturn card, and the Jack of Spades is the star of today because we have, as I said, all these planets in Capricorn, and Saturn rules Capricorn, so that's why these planets are there. So this warrior energy that we've been discussing a couple of days ago is very much present. Because also, if you read Bernadette Brady's book about the Sarosh cycles of eclipses, the Eagle and the Lark, you will see that today's eclipse is part of the 122 family of eclipses, and it has this air of warrior, of justice, and this Jack of Spades there in the Saturn card is overcoming difficulties by taking risks, by doing whatever it takes to survive. It's pretty, difficult there with all those cruel influences, with the waning moon, Pluto, South Node, Sun, and, Saturn there. Like, there's a really full house of planets there. So yeah, there's a lot of tension. Is like what today's energy is trying to teach us is this worth fighting for? Is this worth taking a risk for? Or should I just be more lazy and take a step back? Yeah. Okay, so difficult spades in this spread. We also see the 8 of Spades on the Pluto card. So that means the person puts a lot of emphasis into the inner exploration, which is at the 8 of Spades, and the inner journey. But then the person needs to learn to let go of that stage and really surrender at the Nine of Spades and realize that their inner journey is no more important than any other person's inner journey, and everything is part of the divine plan. We also see there the Two of Hearts on the Sun card. That's a very sweet card. The kingdom is built of emotionally connecting. We see on the Moon card the King of Hearts, which is also the underlying card. So the way they adapt to situations is by sacrificing themselves for those that they love. I think they are very responsible people. These Nine of Spades also have the King of Diamonds in the Mars card, so whenever a crisis situation happens, they are just being very generous about it, and they can throw money at it if they can afford it, or if not, if they are not super rich, they can at least use their concrete skill at the highest level they can. So they deal with problems, with obstacles, with accidents, which is the Mars card. They deal in a very concrete and specialized manner. And then the Mercury card is also a nice heart there. It's the Six of Hearts. They like to communicate by creating some sort of emotional commitment. They are very committed and faithful to their friends. They like to have long-lasting friendships. And they like their life to be organized in a very neat manner. And then we see on the Jupiter card the Four of Clubs. That's a little difficult because we know that what's on Jupiter card is averted, so we prefer art cards. So the Four of Clubs there is like they're averting some comfort with their inspiration. They're averting some comfort with, a house that they like living in, perhaps. Luckily for this particular spread, also the Jupiter planet is there, so they can make it work, but it's difficult. Then we see on the Venus card the Two of Diamonds. That's a good financial card. It's also a moving card, a moving that is happening willingly. It's also a card of coming together with a skill. So they are practical people. In relationships, they look for coming together with something practical. And we already talked about that Jack of Spades. I would say like these people, I see the North Node card is the Eight of Clubs. So what they are developing is kind of being at ease, being comfortable, being self-validated with their inspiration, and that way being a role model for other people. But in their makeup, I see that the hearts are more predominant. Although they are Nine of Spades, they also have a great emotional side to them. They have that Two of Hearts, they have the King of Hearts, they have a Ten of Hearts in the Uranus card, so a lot of love and popularity from their environment. And the South Node is where they have been in past lives. They have been successful financially. So it's something that they need to let go of a little and not invest so much in, and just try to develop that spiritual, that self-validating, that creative side of the Eight of Clubs. We also see they have the Ten of Diamonds on the Neptune card. So when they get the material rewards, when they get the concrete rewards from the environment, they bond in a deeper manner to the world. Yes. So I think it's a pretty powerful spread because in the first 7 cards, we already see 3 court cards. And whenever we see a lot of court cards, we know that the spade is, the spread is heavier, because we know that all these court cards contain energy of several pip cards, and the Nine of Spades is integral and most important part of the King of Spades energy. Yes, so that's about it for today. I wish you a nice and contemplative time during this eclipse. I hope you will be receptive to the changes around you, and especially the changes inside you. Try to be not so rigid, try to lose control a little, because Capricorn wants to hang on to control, but you need to loosen up and let it go. That's what the environment is kind of pushing you towards right now. Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow with a new video, the 8 of Spades. And yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. If you're interested in the card deck that I keep mentioning, you can find details in the description box. And if you want classes with me, we start in about 2 weeks. We're gonna do classes every Saturday, and we're gonna go deeper into the meanings of the cards of truth. Okay, see you soon. Bye.